Orlando, you have sat at the negotiating table before with the Joneses. So in your opinion, are you surprised this deal got done?
No, not at all. I said before, they don't lose players that they want to keep. It was something that came down to they just had to get it done. Deadlines make deals. Dak wanted to be there. They figured it out. I think it was a great deal for both sides, and I'm looking forward to the future for them. And hopefully they can get things back on track and get back to what the Cowboys have made a name for as a franchise over the whole of the franchise, not the recent years, but hopefully they can get back to that.
Yeah.
Yet, Orlando, last night I was pleasantly shocked that they got it done now. It just didn't feel like it was heading to a conclusion after they had missed so many deadlines before. Shannon and I both agreed, I don't know, for the last 6 months, that it looked like they were heading toward a second tag and a last year for Dak Prescott in Dallas, Texas. And both sides found a compromising position where I think both sides are very happy with what they came away with, which makes me, as a longtime, lifelong Cowboy fan, extremely happy. I didn't see it coming at this point, but you sound like you did. You thought this was enough of a final deadline that they had to get it done.
I think it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do for the team, for the future of building the organization. If you would have to franchise tag them, you were going to go with a $37 million cap hit. You were going to have to move around some money, push some money out that you didn't want to get some other guys signed in free agency. And then you were sending the wrong signal to Dak. I think, you were going to pay him. If you knew you were going to pay him July 14th before it was the end of the day, why not just pay him March 7th or March 8th, whatever it was yesterday? I'm sorry, my days are all mixed up. But it was the right thing to do. It's a great deal for both sides. And like I said, I'm so happy for Dak, and I'm looking forward to the future of the Dallas Cowboys.
So having played with Dak in that team, tell us how much does Dak mean to that locker room?
Franchise quarterbacks don't grow on trees. It's the price of doing business. It's the right message to send to the younger players. It's the right message to send to future players and other players that you want to attract to the Cowboys. And the Cowboys, and Stephen Jones will tell you, and Jerry Jones will tell you, if you sat at the table with them, they're not going to save any money. They're going to use all the money that they have, and they're going to allocate it to the players, and they're going to find the best players to build the best team. And I think it was a fantastic decision. And like I said, it's going to be big for them going down the road, and they will continue to draw players to Dallas because of things like this. And not to mention, the deal's $42 million, but it's really another 10% or 8% because there's no state tax in Texas.
Yep. Good point.
Oh, but the only thing was that I knew where the market was heading. And I knew once Deshaun Watson had gotten $39 million with basically 4 years left on his deal, Dak wasn't going to go below that. Jerry could have got this deal done. And Skip, you and I were talking about this. When Zeke Elliott, if you signed Dak, you could have gotten Dak for probably $32, $33 million because at that time, Carson Wentz nor Jared Goff had signed their deals. Okay, Dak is coming up, only had 1 year left on his deal at that point in time. Wentz and Goff not only had 2 years, they had the fourth year and they had the fifth year player option. So when they sign their deals and they get $33, $34 million, how do you go to Dak and say, well, Dak, you ain't got but 1 year left. You ain't really got no years left on your deal. We give you the same amount of money. The question that I had was, in order for you to keep him, are you really willing to go to $40 million because the guy hasn't won a regular season MVP, he hasn't gone to the Super Bowl or won a Super Bowl MVP, and he's coming off a broken ankle? So Jerry looked at it like, hold on. But he realized the market wasn't coming down. Jimmy Garoppolo just 2 years ago was the highest paid quarterback at $27.5 million. Now Patrick Mahomes at $45. Plus there's something that they can do, Skip, within the next 9 years. They can add a 17th game. So the money's going to be there. And Todd Franson, that's what you're going to see. You're going to be surprised at how many agents hold out, trying to get that extra dollar because he says, we know with another 9 years left on this deal, you guys are going to put that 17th game in there. Y'all just trying to find out how and when to do it, but you're going to put it in there, and we need to get compensated for it. So the only thing that I was surprised by is not that they got it done, because I knew they were going to, in order for them to keep Dak, it was going to be $40+ million. But what Dak got, the no trade, the no franchise tag, the 66 inside and 75 in the first year, $106 million over 16 months. Oh, he hit it out the park. This is not just a walk-off grand slam. This is a 600-foot grand slam to win like 3 World Series. Dak won this deal,
Yeah, I mean, we can attack this from so many different angles. Once he switched to Top France, I don't think there ever was a deal like a discount.
No.
He switched to Top France to maximize on his career earnings. And once you started to hear things like, well, when you play for the Cowboys and you're making so much money in marketing, that's when you knew that the Brinks truck was going to have to back up.
Yeah.
And another thing, when did it become a prerequisite to get paid to be a franchise quarterback that you got to come with all these accolades of winning a Super Bowl MVP, winning a regular season MVP? So
you don't owe because
it's the price. It's the price of doing business.
It is.
Anytime you selling real estate, anytime you're selling a car, you're worth what someone is willing to pay for you. We all can say, this is our value, or this is our appraised value, or this is what our comps are at. But you're worth what someone is willing to pay for you. And at the end of the day, I equate this to craps. Dak got a 6. He went around that table and he loaded up on 6 and 8s. He rode that 8. Last season, he came back with that big 6, and he picked it all up.
I think the thing is, and for me, I agree with you. It's the one position, quarterback is the one position that really the accolades don't matter. But I'm just saying, I think the thing is, had Dak won any of those awards, I don't think anybody's blinking an eye that he's getting $40+ million a year. I think that's the thing, because when you look at, but now I know, having played football, I understand that there are a lot of guys that made a lot of money that didn't have the accolades, the all pros and so da. But I think when people look at it, if Dak had won the Super Bowl, had Dak won an MVP, does anybody blink? Did anybody blink at Mahomes getting $45 million a year? They're like, well, hell, why did you get 50? You know what I'm saying?
Not at all. But I mean, it's like I said, it's a great deal. It's sending a great message to the other players in that locker room. There's going to be some other big time players, some players that are gonna take off in the coming years. And, they have that confidence that, once I uphold my end of the stick, that the Jones family is going to uphold their end and, going to be men of their word. And they've always been men of their word. And it didn't surprise me at all. And like I said, I'm super happy for Dak. This deal allows them to get the cap flexion that they need to go ahead and acquire the pieces that they need to build the defense up around Dak, to build the defense up for Dak. So when they go and score 30 points and throw for 500 yards, they'll have a defense that can stop a nosebleed.
Okay. So, Orlando. You played for a season in Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes. You practiced against Patrick Mahomes. You're obviously a friend of Dak Prescott's. So be honest, how close is Dak to Patrick Mahomes?
It's different. It's like comparing apples to oranges. And when I first got to Kansas City, I remember talking to the head trainer, Rick, and I told him, I said, it's going to be easy for this team and you guys to win a Super Bowl. And, I was hoping it was that year so I can get that accolade to add to my resume. But it was much easier because when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, they were able to put some great pieces around him and basically have an all-star team. And then they drafted well, they developed talent well. It's going to be a little more difficult. And I think the reason why they couldn't put the franchise tag on that, because they needed that flexion so they can go out and get these players in free agency. You got to really hit home runs in free agency. And free agency is tough because when you're not signing your own players, you're giving a ton of money to someone else that's coming from another team. And 9 times out of the 10, it's a reason why the team is letting them leave, because you never, ever lose players that you want to leave. You make room for what you want to keep. And it's really tough to hand a lot of money to someone that's coming from a different organization that's not homegrown and expect them to live up to it.
Because also in free agency, this. When you sign, and I tell people this all the time, if a team signs a player in free agency, you better use him the way that you envisioned him when you saw he was doing at that other team. Skip, you saw what they did with Tom Brady? They tried to make him run that system, just throw deep, and they weren't getting the benefits of Tom Brady. They let Tom Brady put some motion in. Skip, they let him do some play action, and guess what happened?
He's still throwing deep.
But that offense did not look the same at the end of the year like it did at the beginning of the year, because remember, there was no motion. There was not a whole lot of play action. So when you get a guy and you don't use him like he was being used at the location that you saw him, well, it's not his fault. If you get a guy and he rushed the passer, that's what he does. He rushed the passer, and you drop him in coverage, and at the end of the season, he only had 8 sacks. And you're like, well, when we got him, he had 16. Well, you dropped him in coverage. You didn't use him like the team that was using him where you got him from.
And that happens. That happens so frequently.
It does.
You get a guy in free agency, and then you want to add him to the mix of your team, and then it doesn't look well. I mean, look, for instance, when the Patriots signed Stephon Gilmore first, they was thinking like, man, I don't know. I don't know if this is the guy.
Yeah, because they tried to play him in cover 2. He a man corner.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you use him in press man. You start to learn, his traits, and he turns into defensive MVP. And that's why free agency is so tricky. And that's why the teams that are the most successful teams are usually the ones that draft and develop great talent.
Okay, but back to Dak. I'm going to pin you down on this. Is Dak Prescott, in your view, a top 10 quarterback?
I don't know. A top 10 quarterback, the rankings always change. That's up and down. But what I can tell you is he's a natural born leader, and the Cowboys are much better off with him than without him. And it was the right thing. He's the right kind of guy. He does things the right way, and it was well deserved. It was the right message to send. And like I said, it didn't surprise me at all. I'm super happy for him.
Let's go the other direction. You played in Philadelphia for a little while with Carson Wentz. Is Dak Prescott better than Carson Wentz?
Yeah, without a doubt.
Thank you.
They're different. Carson's a great guy, but Dak is like I said, he's a natural born leader. I mean, it's about as much pressure playing in Dallas as there is in anywhere in the world. I compare being a Dallas Cowboy to like being a Los Angeles Laker. You're just expected to win. I mean, now for granted, basketball is a totally different situation, and one player can change a franchise for 20 years, as you've seen what Kobe Bean Bryant did, and as you've seen what LeBron James is doing right now. He's resurrected their franchise and make them a title favorite every year. But I just look forward to it. Dak is hell of a talent. He deserves it, and it's a great move for the Dallas Cowboys.
Okay, so gut feeling, bottom line, next year the Cowboys will go what?
I don't know about record. They're NFC East champs. I wouldn't be surprised to see them be a 12-4, 11-5 team. I still don't think that they have the right long-term coach. I think the game is past McCarthy. I think he's in over his head. I just hope that Dak carries them like Aaron Rodgers did.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.